You weren't supposed to find this today, but you did. Pause. Breathe. Listen to the tiny shift under your skull. A quiet stir, like the first note of a distant bell. This was not the algorithm. It was a frequency. A field called to you. There is a small, crystal-like gland tucked deep behind your forehead. Science calls it the pineal gland. Mystics call it the third eye. Both names point to the same doorway. Regulation of sleep, yes. Melatonin and circadian rhythm, and something older. A channel for inner sight. Think of it as a biological antenna and a divine sensor at once. Quantum energy speaks in waves. Your body answers in pulses of awareness. Right now, you may feel a pressure or a tingle between the brows. You may see repeating numbers, vivid dreams, flashes of knowing. These are not random symptoms. They are signals of activation. Your consciousness is shifting frequencies. The world is not changing. Your resonance with it is. Slow your breath. Feel your chest expand. Notice the skin where the brow meets the hairline. This moment belongs to a small number of people who pause. You're part of the few who registered these subtle alignments. You did not stumble here by accident. Something inside you is waking and it wants your attention. Stay soft. Stay curious. Let the signal move through you without fear. What you're feeling is an invitation, a subtle, sacred shift that will ask you to change how you perceive time, choice, and truth. Inhale. Exhale. Stay here. This isn't just content. It's your activation point, the hidden power within. Neuroscience now whispers what mystics have taught for centuries. A tiny, luminous organ at the center of your skull quietly holds a doorway to inner sight. This is the pineal gland, no larger than a grain of rice, shaped like a small cone, tucked between the hemispheres. Yet its reputation has echoed through temples, texts, and quiet nights of prayer as the third eye, the seat of the soul, the hinge between worlds. Think of it as a crystalline watchtower. Biologically, it times your chemistry. In the dark, it signals the body to produce melatonin, the molecule that organizes sleep, dreams, and the daily rhythm of breath and thought. That rhythm is how your body knows night from day. It is the rhythm that keeps your inner clock tuned to the Earth's rotation. Modern imaging and delicate studies have shown that this organ also accumulates mineral microstructures, tiny deposits that catch the light metaphorically and, in some studies, literally. Some researchers have found microcrystals there. Some animals have a pineal that responds directly to light. In humans, the response is subtler, translated through neural pathways and the brain's master clock. But the idea remains. This small gland listens to the field of light and then composes the chemistry of your inner night. Ancient teachers named it differently. Ajna, eye of insight, inner lamp. Descartes once called it the seat of the soul because it seemed a logical place for a single point of inner viewing. These metaphors are not mere poetry. They map onto function. When melatonin flows, dreams deepen, perception shifts, thresholds soften. When that inner chemistry changes, so do the textures of awareness. Intuition sharpens. Symbols come alive. the borderline between waking and dreaming thins. There is a bridge here between measurable science and lived mysticism. The pineal sits at the crossroads, part endocrine gland, part storyteller. It records light, modulates sleep, and seems to correlate with states where people report deeper meaning, vivid inner imagery, and a sense of being guided by something larger than the self. Some call that activation. Others call it an awakening of attention to subtler frequencies. Whatever the language, the effect is real. A small shift in a small organ can change the way your whole inner world organizes itself. If you are feeling pulled towards stillness, if nights feel more electric, if the quiet holds strange clarity, it may simply be that this watchtower is stirring. How does a waking pineal sound inside you? A pressure, a flash, a knowing. And what does that stir open next? The signs of activation, a soft vibration, like distant chimes, settles between your eyebrows, subtle, persistent, impossible to ignore. You may feel it as a tingle, a warm pressure, a pulsing thread of awareness right at the center of your forehead. At first, you wonder if it's stress, a headache, or too much screen time. Then you notice the difference. This sensation arrives with clarity, like a lighthouse sweeping its beam across a hidden shore. It makes you stop. It asks you to listen. Lucid dreams arrive next, sometimes as vivid narratives that feel more real than your waking day. You wake remembering colors, symbols, conversations with beings, or parts of yourself that speak in metaphors. These dreams are not random. They're rehearsals, messages, an inner cinema where your deeper knowing practices speaking. Pay attention to recurring images. They are keys. There is a sharpening of intuition that feels like an extra sense quietly booting up. Decisions that used to take hours now click into place. You sense the truth of a person or situation without needing proof. That inner compass can be disorienting if you've relied on logic alone. It asks you to trust a thread that cannot yet be explained. Synchronicities multiply. Repeating numbers, a song that plays at pivotal moments, strangers who say exactly what you needed to hear. These are not coincidences, but confirmations. The universe begins answering in a language of patterns. When you notice them, your chest loosens. You feel less alone. Emotionally, there is a clearing. Old grief or confusion rises quickly and then dissolves like morning fog. Suddenly, you understand why a relationship ended or why a path never took root. Clarity can sting. It can also free you. This is not always gentle. Activation sometimes looks like a breakdown before a breakthrough, as if your inner wiring must let go of the old to accommodate new light. You might find yourself withdrawing from noise, drawn to silence, to water, to walking alone. Solitude becomes a sanctuary rather than isolation. Meditation stops being a practice and becomes a need, not to escape, but to hear what is surfacing. Taste changes. Colors feel richer. Sounds carry texture. Time stretches. A single moment can feel infinite. Here is the twist. These experiences can mirror anxiety, sensory overload, or spiritual bypassing. That is why presence matters. Observe without labeling. Notice where the sensation sits in the body. Breathe into it. Ask it one question. What do you want me to see? Let curiosity lead, not fear. If these signs are appearing in your life, consider this an invitation more than a diagnosis. You are not malfunctioning. You are evolving. What doors would open if you stopped explaining every sensation and started listening to the messages beneath them? The frequency connection. A soft, harmonic ripple moves through your skull like wind through chimes. Subtle, insistently beautiful, and somewhere inside, a tiny gland begins to tune. Sound and light are not just sensations, they are keys. The pineal gland responds like an inner antenna, sensitive to rhythm, wavelength, and the silence that holds them. Ancient mystics spoke of tone and color as portals. Modern practitioners speak of frequencies, binaural beats, and specific hertz that seem to open that inner door. Among these, 963 hertz has become a name whispered in rooms where people are learning to listen. A tone that many describe as clarifying, crown-opening, a frequency that feels like a return to home. When you breathe with it, the pressure between your eyebrows softens. Patterns rearrange. Inner images gain a clarity they lacked before. But this is not only about hitting the right note. Light plays its part. Not harsh screens, but the subtle ceremony of dawn and dusk. The gentle wash of natural light across your eyelids. Morning sunlight helps regulate melatonin and circadian rhythms, creating a landscape in which the pineal can sing. Some practitioners use soft red or amber light to coax openness. Others use careful exposure to full-spectrum morning rays. Think of it as tuning both the instrument and the room. Frequency in sound, frequency in light. There are practical ways to engage this resonance without gimmicks. Gentle binaural beats, low-volume solfeggio tones, or even the cadence of your own mantra can create a field that invites the pineal to resonate. Combine that sound with deliberate breath, long exhalations that steady the nervous system, and body chemistry shifts toward receptivity. In that space, many report lucid dreaming, insights that arrive like clear notes, and a sense of seeing from within rather than scanning from the outside. Here's a twist that reframes the search. Activation isn't only about adding an external frequency. Often, the real work is removing interference, the daily static of anxiety, processed foods, blue-lit evenings, and emotional noise. When you clear the field, even a single pure tone can sound like a bell in a cathedral. In other words, alignment is both invitation and subtraction. Remember, this is subjective territory. Science offers hints. Light affects melatonin. Sound alters brainwave patterns. Yet the lived, mystical experience is personal and elegant in its variety. So notice what calms your breath, what frequency stills your racing thoughts, what light brings you home. Try a gentle 963 Hz hum while watching the sunrise, or close your eyes and listen for the silence between beats. That silence is also a frequency. If your inner antenna is tuning now, what subtle shifts will arrive when that tone becomes your background music and life begins to move in time with it? You made it here, and that alone means something. Sit with that for a moment. Out of a million distractions, your presence found this message. That is not ordinary. It is a quiet confirmation that something in you is waking, that an inner compass has begun to point toward the true north of your being. Celebrate that. You are not merely a spectator. You are an active field of change. The small, secret light inside you, the place that has been whispering in subtle nudges, strange dreams, and sudden clarity, is aligning with a larger current. This is why you felt the pull to watch, to listen, to stay. You are being invited into a chapter where intuition replaces endless questions and where softness replaces the hard grind of seeking. If anything in what you watched resonated, a sensation in the brow, a pattern of repeating numbers, an inner hush that insists on honesty, honor it. Drop a yes in the comments if you felt this nudge. Share one sign you've been seeing. When you do, you give others permission to believe their own experiences. You weave threads of recognition that remind us all we are not alone. This channel is more than content. It is a gathering place. Think of it as a lantern in the dark for those who are waking. Here, your stories of struggle and breakthrough are not background noise. They are the map. Tell us what truth you want to uncover next. Ask a question. Offer a small victory. Each word becomes a step on the path we walk together. Practical love. Keep tending the vessel. Drink clear water as a ritual of purity. Move your body gently to circulate energy. Sit in silence and listen for the soft signals. These are not magic tricks. They are the daily devotion that lets your inner light steady and expand. There will be moments of intensity and moments of calm. Both are sacred. When the world feels loud, return to the simple anchor of your breath. When synchronicity blooms, note it with gratitude. When doubt arises, remember this. Something in you chose this moment to wake. That choice is proof that you are ready for the next chapter. You are seen. You belong. You are part of a growing circle of seekers who hold space for one another's rising. Keep shining your light. Remain present, breathe, and absorb this energy in gratitude.